Hey everyone, it's Jamie, and I want to take a few minutes to walk you through some interesting features in Google Forms when you're looking at analyzing the data. So, this is if you're giving out a quiz or a survey or any kind of Google form that you're going to get responses back from students. So, just quick orientation. When you open up your form, you have your questions page. This is where you have all your questions. Once responses start coming in, you'll see a number over here to let you know that students are answering. So, you click here on responses. And then there are four different ways you can look at the data. First is summary, and this just shows you an overview of all of the responses. Super helpful to get an idea of like where kids are going, what they're thinking, how they responded to things. So this will show you kind of grouped together. You'll see nice graphs and charts related to your questions. So really, really helpful. So you can see all of this. When you have narrative, you can scroll through and read everything. But what it doesn't give you is what each individual student said. So to do that, you can click here on individual, and this will show you student by student a copy of what they did on the Google form. It can be really, really helpful. But there's also another way. This is called the question-based responses. And then you can look through if you just want to really spot check. You saw some error, something going on. Maybe not everybody answered. You can take a look. And so you can see here that for this question, 26 students responded, and one person left it blank. So somebody had trouble with this one. So I'd want to find out who that was. So again, when you first open up your Google form, you can see summary of all the answers. You can search by, you can look and view individual questions to see what students responded with, and then you can also look at individual. But there's also a fourth way to look at the data, and that's on the spreadsheet. And to do that, you access that by clicking this green button here, View Responses and Sheets. The first time you click this button, it's going to show a pop-up window asking if you want to name the sheet or make it brand new or add to existing spreadsheet. So most often you're going to hit Create New Spreadsheet. So when I click this button, since I've already created it, it's going to open automatically. This is also how you can find your spreadsheet again. So let's say you have a messy drive or it's hard to find things in there. You can always go to the Google form, click here to the green view spreadsheet, and it will take you right back there. It's just a link for you. So when I open up the responses, there's a lot going on this page. I can see the timestamps of when the form was submitted. I can see student name, and then I see all the questions over here. It's a lot to navigate. So when I scroll, I'm just seeing kind of this mess of data. I want to teach you a couple tricks to help you clean this up a little bit. So the first thing I like to do is I like to freeze the top row. And I do that by going over here into the corner till the little hand appears. So I'm on that first bold line right there above the one. I'm going to click and hold. And when I drag down, this freezes the top row. So now when I scroll, the questions stay there at the top. The headers stay in place, which is super nice. But can I do that, let's say, on the left side? Because now I'm scrolling over here and I don't know what student said what. So let me go back over and the same thing applies. You grab the vertical line here, the bold one, and then just pull it over as far as you want it to go. So I want to keep the timestamp and I want to keep the student's name visible. So now I can scroll this way. So those are two easy ways to kind of freeze data and lock it into place to make it easier to view. Let's say as I'm grading, I'm not that concerned with the timestamp anymore. If I highlight column A just by clicking on it at the top, and that highlights the whole column, I can right click and then I can hide this. So it's out of my view. So I don't have to worry about that taking up space on my screen. I see over here, there's this little black arrow. If I click on that, it's going to unhide, and there it's right back. So this makes it nice to kind of clean up what you're seeing if you want to look at your data on the spreadsheet. So again, I'm going to highlight, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to hit hide column. Okay, so all of these came in at different times because that's how it ordered everything. But I want to sort this by name. So I'm going to click over here into this little drop down, and then I'm going to sort my sheet either A to Z or Z to A. So I'll pick A to Z, and it should move all the data. So now I'm in alphabetical order so I can do my grading. I can look at everything. What if I only want to see how the stormtroopers did on this exam? Let me show you how you can do that. If I highlight this first row, row 1, and then I go over here to this create a filter button. So you'll just want to click it. It's going to turn on the green magic arrows. Now these are showing in each column. When I click on this shows me every entry. If I hit clear, and then I start typing storm, I can select my 5 stormtroopers. And now I see just how they did on this exam. So I just wanted to see exactly how they did here. So I'm filtering this. So let's say you wanted to just see one student's responses. You have the option of doing that back here under individual, and you could find them and look at everything. But you now also can do it here on the spreadsheet. But notice it's a little bit hard to read. Some of these I can't really see because it's kind of going into the next column. It's hidden. So if I highlight here, one other thing to help with formatting is this button here called text wrapping. Now I'm going to click the little drop down arrow because I want to see the wrap. So I'm going to click this, and now I see everything here. And I can also make this a little bit bigger if I want, so it's a little bit easier to read. So it's really kind of drag and move. But to really get it to be in that column, I like to use the text wrap. And again, that was clicking here and picking the middle one. And then now it's all here. So I could do this one by one, or I could do many of them at the same time. So for example, if I selected, I'm going to use the shift key to select these three. And then I'm going to go here to the text wrap button. And there they are. Now notice this one's really long, and that makes it kind of hard to read. So I'll just widen it a little bit by dragging the line right next to column I and bringing it over. Now suddenly my data is a little bit more easy to read. One last thing that I want to show you that I love to do with spreadsheets, and this is where you go to, let's see, I think it's format. And yes, love this. This is so cool. This was like the nerdy thing to do in Excel, but now Google Sheets has it. So I'm going to go alternating colors. And then I'm going to pick the theme I want. I really love this color. Hit done. And now this just makes it a little bit easier to read. So everything's alternating. But wait, you might be thinking, you're only seeing the 5 stormtroopers. How do I get back to seeing all the data? So I'm going to click here, remember, on this filter view. And then I'm going to hit select all. And that's going to bring all the data back. And I should be able to see all my students. There they are, all 28 of them. So to recap, we learned how to freeze the top row or one or more columns, and that's by dragging the line until you go hover until you see the little white hand and drag that as far as you want it to be frozen on the vertical side as well as the horizontal side. We also hid a row that I didn't need to see, and that was by highlighting and right-clicking and choosing hide column. You also learned how to stop kind of like the overlap and run on, and that's by highlighting a column and clicking on text wrap. And then we looked at widening to make it a little bit easier to read. And so that was doing it like that. So you grab the line and move over. And then lastly, we went to format and we picked alternating colors so that you could see all your data, every other line with a color marker. So also note that there is the undo button. So when you're playing around with your spreadsheet, you can always use these buttons up here to go back in time. So you can watch all my formatting and adjustments disappear. Oh, and one other thing I did teach you was how to sort your columns. So let me go back so we can see everything. There we go. And that was highlighting and then right-clicking and sort sheet A to Z or Z to A. I hope this is helpful. Have fun playing with your Google Sheets and your forms, and send us any questions that you have at help.lcusd.net. Thanks.